What's going on, everybody? Today I want to speak about my experience in Palo Mayombe. As I've been going through it, not everything that I learned, of course, there's a lot of secrets that go on with this particular. Oh my God, there's a cat that just walked by. Anyways, I got my door open, and this cat just walked by. But anyways, there's a lot that goes into it. Of course, it's super secretive, so obviously there's not a whole lot that I can actually give you. But as we go through this journey and talk about this story, you'll see that this particular part of my spirituality actually got me in line with nature and actually helped me to see spirit and actually work with spirit on a whole nother level that I never thought I had a chance to actually see or speak or anything that I'm doing right now as far as Palo is concerned. I never thought I would see it, but it is an awesome spiritual journey for those of you who actually want to get on it. There are a lot of people out here that have some hardships as well, so look out for that, because there are people out here that might try to get you, are people out here that might try to scam you. But all in all, even the people that you hear the stories have been through some things literally had a journey that they had to go through to help develop them, and the things that they actually did help make them better into this particular spiritual system and not worse, but they had to go through some things. They had to let some things go after a while, so my particular journey in Palo Mayombe, I'll tell you about the first day that I was at my godfather's shop. Okay, if you check out my last video, you'll see that how the story of where I came from as far as Christian background, and then me actually getting into Palo Mayombe. And then on top of that, you will see like my first introduction, a little bit of my first introduction into Palo, but I'm gonna take you into it a little bit now anyway. So my first introduction to Palo is me walking into this shop, what they call a spiritual shop. Okay, I got introduced to my godfather by another person who is now my god brother in Palo. Okay, he introduced me. I walk into the shop. So he has like a shop, right? So he has his own botanica. My godfather has his own botanica. So you walk in, of course, you got your candles, you got your incense, you got your charms, all this stuff that's in there when you first walk in. And then he has the front counter up on the left hand side as soon as you walk in. So I had a chance to speak with him, and then I let him know why I was there. Got invited here by a friend of mine. I was kind of waiting for him to come, but I just went ahead and walked in because he said he was going to be late. But I talked to my godfather. He let me know to come to the back so we could actually get a reading done to see what's going on with me, because literally, and I mean literally, my ancestors were just dragging me into this particular spiritual system. They were dragging me into it. Everything that I was viewing at the time, everything that I seen, it just kept getting me closer and closer to African spiritualism. And then on top of that, there's more helping me get focused to either like voodoo. And at the time, I didn't know anything about Palo. So it was just like, all right, I'm looking at voodoo and what different systems are there within voodoo. But my friend ended up intercepting me and then pointing me in this direction. Anyway, all right, I kind of went off on a tangent right there. I apologize. So I go to the back. He goes and starts getting set up. He's like, yo, let's go sit down over there. And this is when I had my first experience with a pot, or some people call it an inkisi or an nganga, right? I look at it. He has this big old, I mean, it's not super big, but it was made out of terracotta, right? This big terracotta pot, and it had all these sticks in it, and it was just like, you could see it was black. It had like dry blood all around it. Like it was a lot, right? So I see it and I was like, yo, I finally get a chance to see one of these things in person. I just couldn't stop looking at it. I was like, yo, like there it goes. Like that's it. Like, yo, I'm actually in front of one right now. So it was a surreal experience for me, because I was literally just looking at videos on African spirituality, and you see things like this in different cultures, but you know, most of them have it, right? And then on top of that, when I first heard about Palo Mayombe, I would research it online just to get as much information. I mean, because that's pretty much how we all kind of get into things, right? We hear about it and then we try to do a little bit of research. We might ask a few friends, whatever the case may be. We want to dig a little bit deeper before we actually leap off into this thing to see what it really is. Let's even see if it's for us to begin with, right? So I see this thing and then I'm like, yo, I just could not believe it. It was right here, and on top of that, you could feel the energy off of it. Like, you know, this is a thing, right? You know, this thing does have power. So he takes me in there. I get a reading. Lets me know about a few things that were actually going on in my life. If you look at the last video, I kind of explained that because I still wasn't really believing in it because this is my first spiritual reading of this type anyway. So I get there and I get the reading and it's just, okay, all right. And then at the end of the reading, it's like, yo, really, you're supposed to be in the spiritual system. You're supposed to be getting scratched. And then he gave me a piece of paper with everything that I needed to get done with the spirit first, right? And then at the bottom, he had the actual scratch price on there. And I was like, all right, cool. Now, mind you, this is the first time I had any of this ever done for me. So it was probably about 3 weeks or so before I actually had a chance to get back with him, as I already knew this is what I wanted to do because my ancestors were really pushing me in this direction. So I was like, I want to do this. You didn't have to show me that much, even though I did see a few things and how he cleaned up somebody. And that interests me as well. And I had to get my own cleanup and some more work done for me to help me start making money and, you know, and to get stabilized within my life. So once I seen all this stuff, it just kind of blew me away. And I was like, I definitely want to get in this now. Like, I was so sold. I was already sold because I knew that this stuff actually worked. It wasn't like what was going on at church, right? At least from what I've seen. I know not all churches are the same, but a lot of what I've seen, like, people would be hurt. People would lay hands on a person that's hurt. They all of a sudden they take off their neck brace and they dancing around. And then before they leave that church, oh, that neck brace is right back on again. They walking out the door. I don't know if it's for insurance purposes or what. Maybe not. I don't know. But they just had to keep that neck brace back on. So, but what that showed to me is that this stuff was not really working for people. It wasn't really healing for people. And I think that's what made me more sarcastic about looking at other spiritual systems and whether they worked or not, because I literally seen this in my own spiritual system that I was in my Christian faith. I see people that were going through some things and they were never really being healed, and they just kept going through the same cycles over and over again. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me then. It makes a whole lot more sense to me now. So knowing that and just having that little bit of confusion and then actually seeing it work and then starting to see these things manifest in my life that's told to me that they would, it really brought me to a place where there's nothing you could do to get me out of that place at this point. I loved it, every little bit of it, even all the way down to the sacrifice of it. I loved it because I knew it was a necessary thing. So going forward, I wait probably another couple months to get the money up for my scratch. Okay, so I get scratched. All right, so it is a ceremony that you get initiated into Palo Mayombe. That's what a scratch is. Okay, as you are going through this ceremony, from what I know and from what I heard from a lot of other people, you're going to go in there blindfolded. Okay, so I went in there blindfolded. They did all these things to me, all these magical things to me, and you end up coming out of that thing. But remember, you were blindfolded. What's funny to me and how it worked for me, and it varies from person. Every scratch that you go to is going to be totally different from the last one, even if it's in the same house, right? The process is the same, but what happens within that energy is going to be different every single time that you go through it. You get in, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. You're gonna have scratches that you in there laughing the whole time. You're gonna have scratches that you in there very serious, quiet, loud, motherfuckers giving instructions on the side. There's so much stuff that's going to be happening in every scratch, and that kind of gets me excited to see the process of what is going to happen and how the spirit is actually going to move. But the funny thing about it was that I actually remember seeing everything. Even though I was blindfolded, I could see everything that was going on, everything that happened. I even remember seeing people's faces that were helping me along the way and kind of guiding me by, yo, do this, do that. Yo, are you okay? They were asking me all types of stuff, right? Just making sure I was good. So it was weird, man. Like, I would go home that night and I lay in the bed and then I just see the whole scratch replaying in my head and everybody that was in the room. It was the weirdest thing that has ever happened to me. That's like real vision right there, right? So I get in. My thing is, once I'm in, right? So every single day, I was at that shop trying to learn something, trying to do something. Wasn't asking a whole lot of questions because at that time, for whatever reason, I know why I was like that, but I've been like that since I was a child. I hated asking questions because I didn't like to look stupid, right? So I would never ask questions. I'd just be observing everything, right? And then I just go, because I'd rather somebody tell me that I'm wrong as I'm going through the thing than ask the question and then just be corrected and not look stupid, right? I'd rather look dumb because I did something fucked up and I get corrected right there. Then it was a thing. It was really a thing for me, man. All that, I had to learn how to build and get over that. That's a later story, all right? So I'm going in there every single day. Every day that I can make it, I was there, man. And my shop wasn't too close to me. And I know some people probably had longer trips to go to where their godfather, their padrino, their tata is at. But mine was about 45 minutes minimum. And if there's traffic, it could be up to maybe 55 minutes to an hour to get there. And that's every single day, right? So I was burning up the gas, but I was going in there because it excited me so much. And so the first year, you're pretty much seen as a baby, okay? They got, it's called Pinot Nuevo, okay? You're gonna be like a small pine, a baby pine, right? So within that, that's when you really just start to learn. But since I was in the shop so much and I was there more than anyone else, he would be like, yo, do this for me. Yo, go do this and make sure you clean up before you leave and go, you know, you're pretty much like, you're like the maid of the house. That's what you're doing. You're always cleaning up. You're making sure all the supplies are in order. You're making sure that, you know, he got everything he need. When he needs you to go get an animal, a rooster, a goat, whatever, you're going to be the one either holding the thing, or you're going to be the one handing it off to him, right? That's how it goes. So I was just seeing myself doing this for my community. Now, if you didn't know, I didn't get in this because of the power, because I wasn't really interested in power like that, but I did want something that would work, and I wanted to see if it'll work for me, and that was my main purpose of actually going, because I was like, man, I need something that's really going to work, because at the end of the day, I'm a spiritual person, but and what I was getting from the place I'm used to wasn't enough to fulfill me like I thought it should, okay? Palo definitely fills me up. So I go there. I'm going there every day. I'm learning things from him. And then he was like, okay, what is this? And then he'll start asking me questions. I'll be like, either I don't know, or I just give him my best answer according to what I was saying. And then he'd be like, okay, that's good. Or he'd be like, nah, that's not really what it means. And that's when you really start to get into like the secrets of Palo Mayombe. This is like the intimate moments right here, at least for me. It was like the intimate moments that you start to learn little by little, and like, what is this for? And then sometimes I'll ask a question, he'll be like, nah, I can't give you that yet, right? Nah, he's like, shoot, I ain't give you that. And my godfather, he passed man, so he be talking wild. You would get cussed out and that shit. It'd be like, motherfucker, didn't I tell you to do this shit? You know, like, yo, he would be into that joint, right? It'd cuss you out 4 times Oh my God. Anyways, going through there, that's how I really learned, because I used to have a hot head. So I explode a little bit when things would happen to me. But I kind of learned how to get a really cool and calm head within there. Like he might say something wild. I had to learn how to really just kind of eat it and just maintain this right here. Have like such calmness when it's going on, and it actually helped me to gain better understanding as well. So he might say something that pissed me off, and I sit there, but I just be like, yes, okay, Tata, all right, Tata, yes, Tata, yes, Tata. I just be like that. It was always respect. It was never, even if I felt some way, the way I was raised up was in the South, so you would never speak to your elders in any crazy type of way, ever, right? It doesn't matter who they are, you'll always give them respect. So your elders will always have that. You never yell at them, you never get angry at them, you just take whatever they give you, and that's it. And I learned how to do that, and that actually, those teachings growing up helped me in Palo, especially with my godfather. Okay, so some people can't take it, but going through that and learning how to keep a cool head also taught me how to keep a cool head during that stuff. Also taught me, it also taught me how to keep a cool head whenever I'm sitting in front of my pot as well, because that's also something that's very important. Learning how to be calm when somebody says something to you. Be calm, because your energy affects, especially when you have your own pot, your energy is going to affect that pot. Okay, in a number of different ways. You will only know once you have a chance to experience it for yourself. That's how deep it's going to be. The relationship, the bond, the pact that you're going to create with this spirit, and just learning how to trust the process and trust what the spirit is saying. And not even, you might want things to go quick, but sometimes you got to understand that energy sometimes moves slow. Energy is not always quick. It's not always instant, but it's sometimes that the spirit has to direct people into a path that they are not familiar with, and it might seem really explosive and dark for a second, and it's never for a long time, but for a second, maybe like a couple days, a week, that you're going through some stuff, and then all of a sudden, all your worries, all your troubles, everything that you were going through, just all of a sudden just fade away. That's powerful. All right, so knowing that and work on my godfather. So I did that for a year straight, where I was going there every day as much as I could. But it was pretty much every day. Like if it was a day that I missed, it was because it was bad weather or I had some type of an appointment. That was like the only thing that I missed. Even when it was like rainy outside and stuff, I would still go. Like it'd be pouring rain. Some days I would go in there and he would, as soon as I would walk in, he'd be walking out like, yo, I'm going home. I'm good for the day. And I'd be like, dang, man, that's Joe all the way over here. Now I gotta go right back home. That happened a few times. But again, that's one of the things of learning how to stay cool, learning how to stay present. And then the secrets are in you being there, and the secrets are in you learning and touching what you see, what you hear, and what you touch. For as far as us as human beings, that is the best way for you to learn, is to experience the whole factor of it, and by implementing those three things. So because we were just in this mode of learning and doing whatever we got to do, and I was there and I helped him, and he would tell me, yo, write these pati pimbas or these femurs on the floor, right? So we write the femurs on the floor, and we put it on there. This is how I want you to do it. Do it like this. He said, no, I think you did that wrong. Oh, I did? Sometimes he'd be playing. Sometimes he'd check me like, yo, I don't think that's right. And I'd be like, nah, that's how you taught me. You know, it wasn't always like that. Sometimes I'd be like, for real? Like, what's wrong with it? Like, I don't know. And then you get you out your confidence for a second. But doing that for a year, because not everybody gets everything that you might typically hear that you're supposed to get as a person who gets scratched, right? A lot of people want, certain spiritual tools when you get scratched, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to get those things depending on whatever house that you get into. So it's very important to ask, as you're trying to get into this thing, I heard about this. Is this something that we actually do? Is this something that we get up front? You know, ask the questions, because that might not be the case. This person might do it differently. Doesn't mean they're doing the spiritual practice wrong. It just means they do it differently. And you got to respect that in all houses that you go to. Every different paleto or paleta that you see out here in these streets, you got to understand they all had their own background. And even if they're in the same Rama, or even if they're in the same house, your godfather could have taught them different than how he taught you. Some of these people out here really know what they're doing. They know how to control their minds. And they know how to departmentalize things properly in their head so they can go back to it. So that so much. But I did that with him for a year, and he looks at me and he was like, I let him know, hey, I've been in for a year. What's the next move? And then he looks at me in my face, and actually he sits like 4 or 5 of us down at a time. And then he was telling everybody about their Lucero, and how he was going to start building Luceros for different people in the house, right? And then he tells everybody to go back to doing whatever they're doing, what they were cleaning up or whatever the case may be. And then he pulled me to the side and he looked at me. He was like, look, he said, you gonna get a pot. You're not gonna get just a Lucero. He said, you're gonna get a pot. He said, you know what I mean? I was just trying to keep it cool. I was super excited inside my body. I was like, yeah, I understand. I got what you're saying. He's like, yo, this is the real deal. Okay, this is no bullshit. He said, you getting the real deal. I was like, all right, yes. But inside, I was like, yes. I was like, yes. This is what I always wanted. This is what I feel like once you get into Palo, okay, this is one of the achievements in your life. And you just like, yes, I finally got it. But little do you know, that's like the tip of the iceberg. Finally getting your pot, or your first pot, right? It's just the tip of the iceberg. And then there's a whole nother dynamic that comes with that you probably never even imagined until you get here. Then it's like, whoa, off the chain. So I finally get it. I'm doing my thing. He builds my pot for me. And he actually, of course, you got to get all the supplies. There's a lot of supplies that go inside that thing, and it takes a while to get all that stuff. But once you have all that stuff, you just go ahead and build it. So I was there. We got some animals. He called me in. He's like, yo, I'm building a pot on this time. I need you to come out. And then that's when we go and we buy all types of stuff. But we go and we have all the supplies that we put together and bought. And then he was like, all right, I'm showing you what this is. So every little process that he went through as building that pot, he showed it to me. A lot of stuff he explained to me, a lot of stuff he did not explain fully to me, which is okay. But it was he was just showing me every process. This is for this, and this is that, and this is what this means, and blah blah, right? It was an amazing process to watch and actually see the whole thing just get put together. So you know, you watch it, and then, you know, when it's all done, everything is just sitting on the floor, and you're just like, yo, it looks so beautiful. It looks so nice. It looks so clean, right? And it was just like, it was an amazing process to see that. It really was. So that's really like my first year into Palo Mayombe. From there, it was me having other ceremonies for myself to get me in the process of learning how to do sacrifices, learning how to clean people up. Now, remember, I had all this time watching it, and then finally getting to the point where my godfather actually asked me if I want to actually start helping with the scratches, like actually scratching people over his pot. So yeah, man, it's so much more to this story, man. I can't wait to get back to it with you. I want to see how this one actually turns out. I got a camera that I'm using over here. Did one video with it, I'm doing another one. I'm just trying, and I changed some settings this time, so I kind of want to see how it turns out. And then of course I got to get some of my editing and stuff done as well. I know I ramble a little bit, and sometimes I'm on topic, but I kind of take a left turn and get right back to it. But those are things that I also am learning in this game. But here we go. Let's do this thing. Let's I can't wait to see you until next time. Stay blessed. Salam alaikum. Malaikum salam. All right. Be love.